Welcome to the Author to Authority podcast. And today, if you've ever wondered about influencer marketing, if you've heard that term and you're not sure what it means, or you've heard the term and you're not sure how to optimize it in your business, then you want to make sure you stay tuned to today's episode of the Author to Authority podcast. I want to welcome Christian Brown to the show. He's the co-founder and chief marketing officer of Glewee. Hopefully I said that properly. The easiest and fastest all-in-one influencer marketing platform that connects brands and creators through collaboration and paid social media brand deals. As the co-founder and leader of marketing, Christian has worked closely with the CEO to scale Glewee from its early days of sticky note ideas, love that, into the fully fledged brand it is today. It's centered around community, innovation, and fluidity, which is its entire brand evolution. You know what? It's been a labor of love for the both of them since the company's founding. They love to help people craft their image and cultural identity, and they have built this from the ground up. Now, Christian channels his passion and leadership every day into ensuring all aspects of the brand align seamlessly with their larger vision. And alongside these responsibilities, Christian leads the marketing department of 10 people, a carefully selected cohort of like-minded Gen Z innovators collectively focused on growing an industry disrupting platform. Welcome to the show, Christian.
Kim, that was very well said. Solid.
Well, it was very well written. Thank you very much. That made it easy. Christian, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about influencer marketing. So why don't I just start with the really obvious question is, what is influencer marketing today?
Yeah, no, there are a lot of misconceptions, even stigmas around it. So we can dive in. Influencer marketing is the act and exchange of sending product, service, money to influencers in exchange for them creating content, posting it to their audience, and creating new pieces of advertising content. So when we think about influencer marketing, typically we think of working with Kim Kardashian, and we think it's millions of dollars. So that's what it once was in the beginning of social media, when it was just creators and influencers that had millions of followers. Now with the evolution of platforms like TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, and then all the different types of content from TikTok videos to YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels. Now we have creators from all over the world that have grown followings, anywhere from about 10,000 followers up to 10, 100 million, that want to work with brands, and that can do so at as little as $100 per post. And so these influencers are the new age marketing channels for new brands. And it's opened up a whole new avenue and vehicle of advertising for startups, small to mid-sized companies, and even enterprise legacy brands.
Love it, love it, love it. You know, I think there's always, two sides to the coin. There's going to be people who are going to go, yeah, you're cheating, you're buying your way in. And then there's other people who will just see it as, an amazing opportunity. I'm one of the ones that sees it as an amazing opportunity. I think it needs to be used correctly, though. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, that's like every marketing, advertising channel or any form of communication. It has to be used correctly, and it has to be used for the benefit of the goals and the business that it's used for.
So I want to dive into your story a bit because, here you are sitting, with Dylan, the CEO, with your sticky notes. I'd love to hear how it developed more.
Funny enough, I actually have, I have my, a bookshelf behind me, and in there is a folder with all these sticky notes, we say. So I met Dylan, who's one of my best friends, many years ago in Los Angeles. I grew up in Massachusetts, was working on social media stuff ever since I was 15, 16, using that as a marketing channel. I used to build different websites and brands, build them up through Shopify, Squarespace, etc., sell different products and services online, and thought, well, I don't have enough money for marketing, but social media exists. And so the idea of hiring a marketing firm and doing all that just sounded so big and grand. And I was like, wait, there's got to be a way to hack this. And so through social media, myself, just a different cohort of people and different groups of people all over the country that we met through online, were doing very similar work. And so social media was at that point a way for us to get out of like the small town that I was from, for example, and meet new people, understand new perspectives, hear new stories, experience new interpersonal relationships, whether they're 2-dimensional or turning that into 3-dimensional. And so that led me to scaling different things from Massachusetts into New York, and then met a lot of people in Los Angeles where I met Dylan. And during that time, we were working with creators that had some of the first creators on Instagram with millions of followers, and brands wanted to come to them and spend oodles of dollars to work with them to get a live post on Instagram. And at the time, we were 17, 18, 19. Everyone didn't have representation in the form of management, agents, etc. It was just all these different contracts coming through over email. And then we had creators on the other side that had 1 million followers, but didn't know how to get a deal and are struggling financially. And we're like, well, we need to leverage this and identify that some people are making tons and tons of money and some people aren't. But everyone wants to do brand deals. Everyone wants to work with brands. They want to make social media posts, deploy them to their page that are branded and sponsored, and they want to be a part of that. And so we looked further into it, and there's not only a couple people in each bucket, but tens of thousands of creators online at that point, which has now turned into hundreds of thousands of creators. And so we wanted to build a scalable piece of technology, both in the form of an app for influencers and creators, and then a web platform for brands, so that we could connect both parties, so that any company, whether they're small or really large, can work with any influencer, whether they are small or very large. We wanted to take that whole concept off of email, off of Google Sheets and Excel and Docs and contract forms that people didn't know how to sign. We wanted to put it into one platform, and we wanted to be able to create the new age of what will be influencer marketing. And that was what the sticky notes once said. And now, a couple of years later, we have 10,000 plus active users on our platform. People transact every day. Brands will pay an influencer. They'll send them product. They'll create content. That'll go out to their social media channels. And then the brand will actually own that content. And we help them use it in ads across their website, drive more sales in different channels. And we help the brands use these as like affordable, cost-effective, and strategic advertisements that aren't made by ad agencies and aren't made by marketing firms that cost tens of thousands in retainers per month.
Oh, yeah, that does become part of the issues, especially when you're new and you're growing, is you don't have those financial resources
Right.
to be able to do things that the big brands do. And I think that it becomes one of those things that can actually be a huge stomping ground. Like it can stop you from building your business, because you feel like you can't compete on
Right.
any scale, let alone even a bigger scale. We are going to stop and just take a quick ad break. But after we do that, Christian, I want to talk more about influencer marketing, and then, what things do you need to have in place to be able to use influencer marketing? Sorry, I've been sick all week. My brain is still a little fuzzy, so not my best interviewing skills today. But I'm like, I am not canceling this due to sickness. I'm
No
feeling
worries.
better.
There is a bug going around. I was sick last week. A couple of people in our office were also not feeling too hot. So I think it's just April showers bringing May flowers and a cold.
I love it. I love it. So we'll just take a quick ad break, audience. Here's a great resource for you from RTI Publishing. Writing and publishing a book that converts readers into client and scales your business is hard, but it doesn't have to be. Get my free checklist at bit.ly/create and scale that will show you what you need to do to have your book become a well-converting lead generating tool. Welcome back, Christian. The topic today is maximizing and optimizing your influencer marketing. And I want to get to that too, but I think before we do that, let's go back to a few foundational pieces. because most of us don't know what we don't know, and we don't know what we need to even get started in this.
Right. So when we think about what's needed to get started, so a brand or a business is the foundation piece. Within a brand and business, as we know, brands and businesses offer products and services. So getting to that point of having a product and service ready to go is really the starting point in the race for all forms of marketing. It doesn't necessarily make sense to spend a lot of marketing dollars until your product and service is ready, unless you have a lot to spend and you want to do this big launch concept and everything like that. So once you have the product and service, obviously that will be deployed and or sold through a website. So making sure that your website is set up, making sure it's set up for conversions, meaning if you're selling a product through your site, make sure that you're working with a Squarespace, a Shopify, WooCommerce, any of those platforms, so that when people want to come to your site, they can actually check out, buy the product, you can ship it to them. From there, the next step is setting up your social media pages. So let's say that I'm looking at a coffee on my right here. Let's say that your brand was Columbia Coffee Co. You would want to get the Columbia Coffee Co. website name, so the domain columbiacoffeeco.com. You can then put your logo and design it out with your colors and themes. Then you want to go on social media, and you want to go on all the social medias and get the @name Columbia Coffee Co., just so that your brand is now cohesive across all different fronts. From there, what you can do is take different pieces of content from your website, put them on your Instagram page. You can upload videos to TikTok. You can upload to Facebook. You can post on YouTube. You can tweet about it. You can tag the brand. You can do all these things, and you can build this identity of the brand through social media. Then you take the link in bio, or you take the website URL and you put it into the link in your bio. So now every time anyone comes to your social media page, they can see the website. They go to the website, which, like we talked about before, is ready to convert, ready to turn customers into cash. So once we get to that point, now we need to think with, okay, how are we going to market on social media? And before we do that, I just want to say that social media is free. Every single social media platform is free, and it is free 24 hours in the day. What TikTok has done, and which Instagram has followed up with Reels on, is created this voice and this vocal brand awareness microphone. And it gives people and users the ability to display their identity, whether it's like a personal brand or whether it's a corporate company, anything like that. You can post on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and Twitter and Facebook every single day. Those videos will go out in the algorithm. They'll be seen by new people. The better the content, the more engagement it'll get. And people start liking it, commenting on it, sharing it with friends. The algorithm knows to send that to more people. So if you post on social media every day for free, you're taking a little bit of time out of your day, but you're actually spreading your brand with more and more people. So now that we know that, and now that we know that that concept is free, it's just the investment of time and some creativity goes into it for sure. But now we need to think with, how are we going to amplify that and get more people to the social media pages, more people to see the product, more people to hear about the brand and their value props. Now is when we come to influencer marketing. So let's say that we want to use this coffee company, and let's say that we want to. Oh, Kim, do you have a question?
Yeah, actually, Christian, I'm going to stop you for a second there. I want to shift gears a little bit, because most of the people who listen to this are consultants, professionals, speakers. They tend to sell services as opposed to products. Would this work for them as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So the product and the service are very equal in a lot of ways. It's just the messaging and how we're conveying that messaging and the audience that we need to look at. So we can swap the example over to a consulting service. So let's say it's someone that wants to help small businesses break into new markets. So maybe that person typically has clients that are anywhere from 27 to 45 years old. So now with that, the brand of the consultancy is now needing to share that message to more and more people. So maybe the value proposition is, I'm Samantha. I work with a bunch of small businesses. I've helped them grow from this to this and enter into all these new markets. And my website is here and it shows all that stuff. Excuse me. Well, now Samantha can go out and she could spend $10,000 on Google ads and advertising across Instagram. And she could put a little graphic image and people are going to scroll by it forever. And guess what? Google and Facebook are going to take your money forever because they made $85 billion last year doing that. And it works, right? And that's why we have these platforms. And that's why Google can show you a result in 0.02 seconds because of that investment. So now what Samantha can do is Samantha can work with an influencer. Maybe it is a mom that has worked with a bunch of businesses before, or someone that is in a local community that has a strong footing with that local community, and everyone in a specific state or local region follows her. So now Samantha can work with her, and for anywhere from, depending on the size of her following, $100 to $500, that influencer and creator can meet with Samantha, learn about the value proposition of the consulting firm, and then actually create content that talks about why this consulting firm is so powerful and the value props of that. And now this video will be owned by Samantha and her firm. And then as it's posted to Instagram and TikTok, driving more eyeballs to Samantha's consultancy firm on social media and her website, now that is a real testimonial made by a real creator that understands the value of the business. Now that 15, 30, 60-second video can be put into Meta and across Google and YouTube. Now that will act better as an advertisement because it's a real person talking to real people. That will perform better than any standard static image graphic design post ever will. Because now we're adding a layer to the advertising. We're getting more people to hear about the consultancy firm. We're getting more eyeballs on the social media pages which talk about the firm. We're getting more people to see the ability to go to the website, which is set up for conversion. And then from there, we're getting more people to actually meet with Samantha to learn about her services. And so it's not like you need to go out and get Ryan Reynolds to talk about your consultancy firm because he's the biggest voice and he's in every Super Bowl commercial. No, but you can work with a bunch of smaller people that act and walk and talk like Ryan Reynolds, and the same people that follow Ryan Reynolds may follow this creator. And if you work with enough micro creators for $100 to a couple $100, now you're using different opportunities to voice your value proposition to different audiences. Because if creator A in New York City talks about a consultancy firm and creator B in LA talks about it, they may have 30,000 followers each, but they're 30 different thousand people. And so you can kind of rinse and repeat this process in whatever new market that, per the example, Samantha's consultancy firm wants to go into. And now we're actually geofencing advertisements through social media deployment. And so
go ahead.
Just to finish that, it doesn't need to cost a lot of money. Working with these creators is very cost effective and affordable. And I think that's a misconception and stigma with influencer marketing, is that it's a multi-$1,000 game to enter. I mean, our platform, for example, is free to use to launch a campaign. As you find influencers that apply to your campaign and say, hey, I want to work with your brand, I'd love to be a part of it, then you can start to identify, okay, based on their following, how much do we want to give them and for where are they going to deploy this content. So even to find influencers that want to work with your brand and are excited to be new brand advocates with our platform, for example, is free. And so it's not how everyone thinks it is, I would say, once you pull the veil back and open the theater.
I think one of the things that makes this so crucial is the fact that you can engage with people who engage with your target market. So you talked about Ryan Reynolds. And while it would be absolutely amazing to have Ryan Reynolds, advertise your business, the truth is he may not have a lot of people who are your target market. So you would not get, you would get street cred for, but you really wouldn't get a lot in terms of ROI because if his audience is not your target market, then, that would be wasting money. But I think, with your system, you can match with influencers and micro influencers who deal with your target market every single day and speak to them. And to me, that's the best. Right. I'd rather work with a micro influencer, maybe, has 10,000 followers, but let's say at least 6,000 are my target market.
Right. Yeah.
that is a much better investment than trying to go for the biggest name out there.
Yeah. And what we've seen, and there's so much data to prove this, is that working with more smaller influencers is actually more beneficial than one really big one. Because exactly to your point with Ryan Reynolds, or going back to Kim Kardashian, which is one a lot of people can relate to. I mean, her audience is following her, but they're looking at her all the time. And maybe her audience is 48% male, 52% female, and they're all over the world. Now we're spreading ourselves very thin. Whereas a micro influencer in Chicago, whose content is solely focused on living in Chicago, is a perfect person to work with if you're opening a new business in, let's say, Chicago, because you're actually getting in front of the audience that makes sense. And another thing with our platform is something that we focus on is we have partnerships with all the social media platforms. So we pull in all this information about the audience of the influencers. And then what we do is we have this proprietary algorithm that will actually rank and show you what is the average income, what's the median income, what education level, what gender, what city, what state, what exact town is the audience in, what country are they most in, what's the breakdown of male to female of the audience, okay, what's the marital status of the audience. And this advanced, we call it our advanced audience insights, this allows brands on our platform to look in and say, like, wow, this person is very much a good fit for my brand because 62% of the audience likes pop music and likes this and likes that, which all align with what we're doing with our brand. And so, like, I think that the more data you can get, the more informed of a data-driven decision you can make. And I just think that it's very powerful that now we're talking about different people who have created social media pages and have built audiences as such a powerful vehicle of communication, because this is something that just didn't happen or didn't exist in the past.
When you were talking, I always get these strange thoughts. Do you work with podcast hosts? Because I think that's also a very underutilized. I mean, there are a lot of podcasts that I think would love to get into being able to do not only paid advertising for their podcast, but also accept advertising and promotion.
Yeah, so that's something that we're working on. That is one user type. That's one of a few new user types that we're working to bring into our platform right now, as well as streamers, like people that are streaming video games, UGC creators, so creators that just want to make ads. We have a lot of appetite for a lot of different user types on both like the business side and the creator influencer side. And we're really just looking at the landscape and saying, how can we bring everyone into our platform? How do we connect everybody? And how do we make sure that our platform is that central hub, that trusted central hub of connecting, collaborating, and executing new age marketing? So it's something we are working on. Kim, I'm sorry to report that we don't have it right this second, but it's something in our roadmap and pipeline for the future.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that, Christian. We're going to shift gears for a minute or two. Now, you told me that you're not an author, but you did tell me something that I was incredibly impressed about, and that is you are a regular writer for Forbes. So
Yeah.
I'd love to talk about that a bit. How did you become a writer for Forbes?
So, okay, so I've been writing for, I don't know, I'm 26 now, 11 years, right? Since I was 15. And like my whole life has always revolved around, I would say, exploration of literature and experiences and stories, and then like the communication of that back. I used to write every day for 2 years, and I wrote this like 450 plus page book that only I have read. This is when I was younger. And that was like just my form of like, okay, I love writing as a medium. And I'm just so inspired by it, right? Like teen fiction novels, educational novels, everything like that is what I grew up on. And then in college, I took a lot of writing courses, journalism courses, and I've always written for what is our blog. So on our website, we run a creator economy blog. I posted hundreds of different pieces there. I just think that that's the most therapeutic way to communicate information is through written form on my laptop. And so with that, I started looking a lot more into how to start reporting on what we were learning and reporting on the Gen Z social media creator economy space. And then from there, I was reached out to from Forbes Business Council to join. And then from there to focus on influencer marketing, social media, and what's happening in that space on a monthly basis in a column for Forbes Business Council. And then that kind of coupled in with myself and Dylan Duke, founder and CEO of Glewee, we got Forbes 30 under 30, and we kind of just like merged all that together. And then that is like, okay, this is the entity in which we're building. Is that publication online there? That always ties back to our brand and what we're learning from an entrepreneurial perspective, from a young founder perspective, from a tech perspective, and from a social perspective. So we just put stuff out on there that is based on data and based on experiences, and it's all about the creator economy and social media influencer marketing, because it's such a new industry and it's viewed from so many different lights. There's the enterprise level, the mid-size level, and then the in the weeds real from the creator level. And that's the layer in which I specialize in.
Wow. Love it. Love it. So I can't ask you the question I normally ask, which would be, what was the good, bad, and ugly of writing, editing, and publishing a book? But what has been some of, your best experiences in this, and what have been some of the difficult things?
I'm sure that they're pretty similar to everyone else's when publishing. I think that when looking at a lot of pieces like that I'm writing just across online or in the column itself, it's like, I get to the end and I reread it and I'm like, nope, scrap it. Like, let's just scrap it from start. I think that writing for an audience that is intended to feel a part of a brand, you can have a much more, I'd say, softer tone. You can be much more relatable. Writing for business, especially where I sit, it's a little tougher because I want to talk to people one-on-one and I want to just tell them the experience, but everything must be backed by data. It must be backed by source and by study. And I think that for me is a little challenging and difficult sometimes, because finding the sources super not easy. Making sure the sources are legitimate, doing all that is not the easiest. But I would say the best part of it is when I get to go back and look and say, like, okay, this piece of time or this anomaly in social media or this moment that is shifting the industry in which we are building in, now that is concreted online, time stamped, time dated, and that thing that I wrote about shifted just a little bit, right? Shifted the way in which people are working, people are existing online, but enough of those shifts are what create curves. And so I would like to one day be able to say, look, we studied an era of social media that changed the way people interact and communicate online globally in the future.
Love it, love it, love it. All right. Well, we are just about out of time there, Christian. You have time to share a final thought with us. And, if people are going, man, I got to find out more about your platform, how can they do that?
Okay, two-parter here. If anyone is in publishing directly and wants to take on a very fun project, I do have a 1.2 million character book that only myself and my grandmother have read. It's a teen fiction novel biopic about my experiences as a teenager. And one day I would like to publish it. So if anyone here could help me with that, that would be great, even if it's just a small project. That's part A. Part B is if anyone in the consultant space, book writing space, publishing space, anywhere in that realm is looking to work with influencers to do anything like we talked about today on this show, you can head to glewee.com, which is spelled GLEWEE.com. And you'll see all over the website, it says create free account. You can press that button, create a free brand account, which is a business account on our platform. And within 5 minutes, you can launch a campaign by identifying what type of influencers you want, pictures and value props about your business, where you want that content deployed. And within another 5 minutes, because of the speed of our platform, real influencers that meet your target audience, that have your ideal customer profile, will apply to be a part of your campaign, and your inbox will be flooded with applications. And from there, all communication, collaboration, and execution happens in one platform. And there's no monthly subscription cost. It's free to use. And then when you want more data, you can come to us and you can have that as well.
Love it. You didn't share a final thought.
Oh, my final thought. Everyone should write. Everyone should read. especially in this day and age where there's headlines, there's news, there's your computer in your pocket, which is your iPhone, is a warp and a time suck of everything else. Sometimes take some time to read and to write. I mean, I have my journals next to me at all times. Just always express yourself in different forms and don't get stuck in the time-space continuum of screens.
Love it, Christian. Love it. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you,
Audience, it's that time again. If you have made it to this point in the show and want to know where to go next, I want to send you back a few episodes to episode 501. Do you need message therapy? So no, that's not massage therapy. Do you need message therapy? With a dear friend, Hirsch Repfung. And if you're on YouTube, you know the routine. My daughter has placed the thumbnail here somewhere on the screen for you to click. And if you are on your favorite podcast app, you're only going to be scanning back about 6 or 7 episodes. Thank you so much today for listening. I want to encourage you that, you know, if you've been considering influencer marketing, connect with Christian. This seems like an amazing platform. I think it's a great way to get started. Look them up on Forbes. I'm going to be starting to read some of these articles. I'm really curious now. And help to support the guests who come on the show for free to share from their knowledge freely with you. And we appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the very next episode. Bye now.
Bye.